Hi there friends, if you're new to my channel, my name's Nicole and I'm here today with a book haul for you guys of all of the books that I have bought or been given thus far in 2018. I filmed some booktuber videos in the end of 2017 and I wanted to kind of continue that through. I really love talking about books. Don't worry, I'm still a theater channel mostly, but actually some of these books relate back to theater, and also I studied history in my undergrad, so reading is one of my favorite things to do, especially history books and historical fiction and classic novels. So I kind of wanted to share this with you. I would love to hear what you're reading right now. Also, if you've read any of these books and really recommend them, please do let me know, because I'm trying to figure out what order to read everything in and would appreciate any help I can get. So these books can be divided into kind of three categories. The first is books that were given to me by my best friend Corin before she left to move home to Australia, so I will share quite a few of those with you now. The second category is books that I bought in my recent trip to Paris. If you've not seen that vlog, I will link it down below so you can find it, but I bought a couple of books while I was there. And then just books that I've bought either in, one of them's from a used bookstore and the others are from Foyles. So to start off with, I'm going to just start with the books that Corin gave me, and the first three I want to share are these books by Daphne du Maurier. Now, if you don't know, Daphne du Maurier is the author of Rebecca and The Jamaica Inn, and she also was a really prolific writer beyond that. So I haven't read Rebecca yet. I have it. It's on my list, but I have these as well. They are Mary Ann, The Flight of the Falcon, and The King's General. So if you've read any of these and have one that you recommend that I begin with, or just if you've read one of them and really liked it, do let me know, because I'm trying to figure out where to start after I read Rebecca. The next one is this history book called Daughters of Britannia, The Lives and Times of Diplomatic Wives by Katie Hickman, which looks really cool. I love reading biographies of women, especially, you know, further back in history, and I think that this one is going to be really quite cool. It says it's a mixture of poignant biography and marvelously entertaining social history. And social history and cultural history are definitely my favorite type of history. That's what I specialized in whenever I was studying history. So I think this is going to be a really good read. You might notice the shelf behind me changing a little bit as I finish talking about these. I think I'm going to go ahead and put them back. Okay, so the next one's actually the outlier here. It's not a book that I got from Corin, but we have a bookshelf downstairs in my building that I live in where you can leave a book and take a book kind of as you want, and Corin left a few books on there, so I took this one the other day whenever I saw it. It's called How to Stop Time by Matt, I think that's Haig. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but it sounds really interesting. It's basically about a guy who is immortal and has been alive since like Elizabethan England, and it says that, you know, the only thing that he's not supposed to do is fall in love. And obviously he's going to fall in love. But I thought it sounded really cool. I feel like I've seen it maybe on YouTube channels or blogs before, but it should be a fairly quick read. I often like to try and have more just like contemporary fiction or historical fiction or something like that to read in between reading history books and classic novels, which can be a bit daunting, just to have something that I can breeze through a little bit faster, so I thought this would be a good one. The next one is Restless by William Boyd, which is set in 1939 in Paris, and that's kind of all that I needed to know that this was one that I wanted to keep. The next one is another history book. It is called Empress of Pleasure, The Life and Adventures of Teresa Cornelius, I think is how you say that? Yeah, maybe. Which I actually don't really know anything about her, but it says that she was one of the 18th century London's most notorious women. So, like I said before, always down for a good biography of a historical woman, and this one sounds really intriguing. Finally, I have Tipping the Velvet by Sarah Waters, which sounds really good. It's set in the 1890s. It's about a girl working in the theater, and that's basically, again, all that I need to know, because the 1890s is one of my favorite periods to read stuff set in, to study, and also I obviously love the theater, so hopefully I will really enjoy this. My favorite bookstore in London is the Foyles on Charing Cross Road, and they had a sale on in January where with a student ID you could get a discount. So I kind of bought all of the books that I thought that I might want to buy in the next 6 months while I could get the discount on them and while I had money from Christmas. So the first set is these 3 Bronte sister books. The first of which is Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. I think that these covers are absolutely gorgeous, and I really like the size of these books. It's like about the size of my hand, which I think is a really cool size. It feels really nice in your hand, as weird as that might sound. I really like just everything about these. These are the, it says Ex Libris Vintage Classics by Vintage Books London, and I've been meaning to reread Wuthering Heights for forever because I read it whenever I was 16. It was one of my favorite books. I said for a long time that it was my favorite book, and I'm very curious if I would like it as much now. This also is a year of Bronte kind of anniversary, and I can link down below. One of my favorite booktubers is partnered with the Bronte Parsonage right now to celebrate the Brontes, and she is doing like a book club kind of to read a bunch of different Bronte books over the year, so I thought better do it now. The next one in the set is Anne Bronte's The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. Now, I've heard that if you don't like Jane Eyre, you might still like this. If you don't like Wuthering Heights, you'll probably still like this, and is kind of the forgotten Bronte in some ways, I feel like, because everyone knows of Charlotte and Emily, and a lot of people don't really know Anne's work as well, so I'm really excited to read this, and it sounds really fascinating, so I'll let you know how I get on with this. And finally, so truth be told, I never made it through Jane Eyre. I've tried to read Jane Eyre twice, I think, and didn't make it past the first section. I just didn't really like it. Didn't really like Jane as a character. I've seen a couple of movie adaptations though, and I went to see the play Jane Eyre at the National Theatre in the fall, so I thought it's time to finally make myself get through this. I feel like a bit of a failure as a classic literature nerd for not having read it. So it's a bit of a hefty one, but at some point this year or next year, I'm definitely going to read this. But in addition to like actually being books that I want to read, I just think these are the nicest thing to have sat out on my shelf. You might have noticed in a previous video that I keep them over on the shelf right there, so I'm gonna go put them back right now. The next book that I got is one that I've been looking for a while. I got it in a secondhand bookshop on Charing Cross Road, and it is Bleak House by Charles Dickens. This edition is one of the Penguin English Library books. I'm actually not sure when it was printed. It's definitely an older one. Yeah, it was printed in the 70s, early 70s it looks like. But it's actually like a decent copy, other than maybe some discolorment. And I'm really excited to read Bleak House. I read my first Charles Dickens earlier this year. I read A Tale of Two Cities and actually surprisingly enjoyed it, but since I am a volunteer at the Charles Dickens Museum, I want to read more Dickens, and several people recommended Bleak House to me, including the actress Anna O'Byrne, because I talked to her about reading Dickens, and so I thought, you know, why not give it a go? So I went ahead and picked up this copy whenever I found it. The other two books that I bought at Foyles whenever I went in January were Persuasion in Mansfield Park by Jane Austen in the Penguin English Library editions. Now, these are actually my favorite like editions of books ever. I also have Emma by Jane Austen, A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens, and The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. And I want to finish buying a whole set of all of Jane Austen's work in this, and also buy some more Charles Dickens. Fortunately, they don't make Bleak House in this series, which made me so sad, but maybe they'll add it at some point. But I just think they're really beautiful books. One of my goals is to finish reading all of Jane Austen's work. I read Northanger Abbey in the fall, and I'd already read Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, and Emma. I reread Pride and Prejudice recently, so I will probably reread Emma soon, but I don't have many books left. These are the only two of the main works, and then I'll also read Lady Susan and, you know, some of her other like unfinished and younger writing, but these are the only two like full books that I have left, so I want to get that done hopefully very soon. I think I might start with Persuasion because it's really thin, which I didn't realize, so that's definitely coming at some point this year. To finish up, I wanted to share the 3 books that I bought in Paris with you guys. The first one is Le Fantôme de l'Opéra by Gaston Leroux, which is the French version of the Phantom of the Opera. I bought this really cute little edition at the Opera Garnier, which is the opera house that actually features in Phantom of the Opera, which is kind of cool. I have studied French for 11 years. I minored in it at university, and I thought that trying to give this a read over the next couple of months would be a really good way to keep up my written French, or my French reading, I guess. I've always been better at reading French than speaking it, but it's a really good skill to have, especially for someone who really likes European history, because French tends to just filter into history books without translation sometimes, especially older work, and also it's really nice to be able to read French documents in the original writing. So I thought, why not give this a go? It'll be a good exercise, but also I haven't read the actual book Phantom of the Opera in forever. I read it as a teenager, so I think it'll be interesting to read it again. I also bought Hernani, I think would be how you say this, Hernani? I'm not really positive. It's a play by Victor Hugo, which has been translated into English, thank goodness. And I actually bought this, you can see because they stamp it in the back, at Shakespeare and Company, the English bookstore in Paris. It's kind of become a famous thing, but whenever I saw this, I was like, perfect. I knew I wanted to get something by Victor Hugo, so I thought, why not get this play? It says that this play kind of revolutionized French theater, and actually fights broke out at performances of it over it, so I thought that's definitely worth a read. I also got a copy from my friend Rhiannon, so we're going to buddy read this, which is very exciting. And finally, the last book that I got, if you've been watching my videos, you might know that I'm now obsessed with a musical called The Grinning Man that's on here in London at the Trafalgar Studios. And it's based on a book by Victor Hugo called The Man Who Laughs, or in French, L'Homme qui rit. And I got a copy of this at Victor Hugo's house whenever I was there in the gift shop. It's quite a thick book. We'll see how I do getting through it. I need to order it in English as well so that I can kind of maybe go through them at the same time. But I started reading it in a Starbucks in Paris while I was waiting for Patricia at one point, and I actually could get through some of it. I wasn't having that much trouble with it, so I thought it would be really amazing to be able to read Victor Hugo in his original writing. And while this is quite a hefty book, for some reason it seemed a little bit easier to me than Les Mis, maybe because there's just less characters to keep track of, hopefully less random tangents maybe. But we'll see how I do with it. I definitely will update you guys whenever I start reading this if you're interested in that. Alright, so those are all of the books that I have acquired thus far in 2018. As I said before, I know it's quite a lot, but hopefully I will get through a lot of them this year. I'm really trying to read as much as possible, even if it's just a few minutes here and there on public transport. I just finished reading The Princess Diaries by Carrie Fisher, which is Carrie Fisher's memoir of basically when she was filming the first Star Wars movies, which was really amazing. And I've been trying to do some more reading in The Lady in the Tower, which is a book about the fall of Anne Boleyn. But I think I'm about to start my reread of Wuthering Heights, so I'll definitely let you know how I get on with that. If you want to be my friend on Goodreads, I will put the link to my profile down below. I'd love to see what you guys are reading. Also, just let me know what you're reading right now if you have any recommendations. I really like classic literature and history books and historical fiction, but I'm also open to trying to branch out a bit more. I've been really enjoying reading memoirs lately. Nora Ephron's and Carrie Fisher's are my favorite. Oh god, it's gotten brighter since I started filming. Well, hopefully I don't look too pale. In any case, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up if you liked it and to subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Otherwise, I'll see you again later this week. Bye!